The Holy Rosary is one of the most treasured devotions in the Catholic Church. It is not merely a repetition of prayers. It is a contemplative journey through the life of Christ, viewed through the eyes of his mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary. Each decade reflects a mystery: joyful, the coming of Christ; luminous, his public ministry; sorrowful, his passion; glorious, his resurrection and heavenly triumph. For centuries, the Church has called the Rosary a spiritual sword, a weapon against evil, fear, confusion, and despair. Popes, saints, and mystics have said the Rosary has turned back plagues, ended wars, converted nations, and protected the faithful in moments of grave danger. No miracle shows this more powerfully than the Battle of Lepanto. In 1571, Europe stood on the edge of annihilation. The Ottoman Empire commanded an enormous fleet, nearly 300 warships, determined to invade Italy, conquer the Papal States, and extinguish Christian civilization. Their forces were seasoned, fearless, and confident. Christian Europe, by contrast, was divided and weakened. Only through the relentless efforts of Pope Pius V did the Holy League form, a fragile alliance of Spain, Venice, Genoa, and the Papal States. But even united, their fleet was far smaller. Yet before a single cannon was loaded, the Pope armed Christendom with something far more powerful than steel. He ordered every church, every monastery, and every family across Europe to pray the Rosary. He held processions in Rome. He begged the Blessed Virgin Mary to intercede. The Holy League fleet sailed out with a single cry on their lips: "Holy Mary, protect us." As dawn broke over the Gulf of Patras on October the 7th, the two armadas came into view. The Ottomans formed their classic crescent formation, wings spread wide, ready to envelop the Christian fleet. On their left stood Uluj Ali, fast and cunning. On their right, Mehmed Sirocco, known for his ferocity. At the centre, the feared Ali Pasha, commanding the heart of the Ottoman navy. Opposite them, the Holy League formed a straight, disciplined line on the left wing, the Venetians under Agostino Barbarigo. On the right, Giovanni Andrea Doria with the Genoese, and in the centre, Don Juan of Austria with the papal flagship. The Real behind him stood the reserve fleet under Santa Cruz, ready to reinforce any failing section. Before the clash, priests moved through the decks, blessing the men, hearing confessions, and raising the crucifix above the sea. Thousands of soldiers held rosaries in their hands. Some kissed them, some wept. Then the wind turned. For hours the strong Mediterranean wind had blown in favour of the Ottomans, filling their sails and driving them swiftly toward the Christians. But suddenly, inexplicably, the wind stopped. The sea grew still. Then the wind rose again, but now it blew in the opposite direction. It filled the sails of the Holy League, pushing them into perfect formation, and at the same moment it blew directly into the faces of the Ottomans, disrupting their crescent, scattering their alignment, and slowing their advance. The Christians saw it at once. They called it the divine wind, heaven's answer to their rosaries. The battle erupted with cannon fire so loud it shook the sea. The Real, Don Juan's flagship, drove straight into the centre of the Ottoman line. The ships locked together, and brutal hand-to-hand combat began. On the left wing, Barbarigo held firm against Sirocco's furious assault. Though he would fall from an arrow to the eye, his men fought with unmatched ferocity, eventually overwhelming the Ottomans and breaking their flank. On the right wing, Doria faced a deadly trap. Uluch Ali attempted to draw him away, creating a dangerous gap in the centre. For a moment, the Ottoman commander almost broke through, but the reserve fleet, led by Santa Cruz, charged forward in time, slamming into the Ottomans and driving them back. The centre became the heart of the storm. Ali Pasha and Don Juan fought ship against ship, flag against flag. The Ottoman flagship was boarded 3 times, retaken 3 times, and boarded again. Smoke filled the air, the sea ran red. Then, in a decisive moment, the Christian forces captured the Ottoman flagship. Ali Pasha fell. His standard, the sacred banner of the Sultan, was struck down. A roar rose across the sea as the Holy League surged forward. The divine wind rose once more, pushing the Christian ships deeper into the enemy line, while the Ottomans struggled helplessly against it. By late afternoon, the crescent formation had collapsed. The Ottoman fleet, once invincible, lay shattered across the Gulf of Patras. At that very hour, in Rome, Pope Pius V stopped in the middle of a meeting. He walked slowly to a window, looked toward the east and said, "This is not the time for business. Let us give thanks to God. The Christian fleet has won the victory." No messenger had arrived. No report had been delivered. He spoke by divine knowledge. Days later, the truth reached Rome. The Holy League had won one of the most decisive naval victories in history. Pius V declared the victory was granted through the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary, through the millions who prayed the Rosary, and through the miraculous wind that turned the tide of battle. He established the Feast of Our Lady of Victory, later known as the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, celebrated every year on the 7th of October. The Battle of Lepanto was not only a triumph of ships and soldiers, it was a triumph of prayer, a triumph of faith, a triumph of the Rosary, and a reminder for all ages that heaven hears the prayers of those who call upon the Mother of God